So we'll start the class because few people are joining, only 10. So we just try to see continuation of tomorrow's just 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll go for the gear measurement. And I think you have joined the class, Ramana, Sairam, Ajad. I'm not able to say nowadays Sairam and Ajad. Frequently, they're not attending classes regularly, I think. So it is. So one of you respond whether the screen is visible, my voice is visible. So we start the class. So gear errors. So we have the errors in gear, especially any type of gear, but as far as the gear measurement is concerned, as for the syllabus, it is per gear. And these errors are also applicable to helical, bevel, and worm gears. So we have the pitch now. So we'll be just knowing the pitch. What is pitch? Because the pitch measurement can be made by the tooth-to-tooth measurement or by the portable handheld base pitch measurement. Because out of the pitches, circular pitch and you cannot measure directly. Suppose you try to measure the base pitch and PB is equal to PC cos phi. If you know the pressure angle at the base pitch, you can know the circular pitch like that. So what is adjacent pitch error? It is actual pitch minus design pitch. So whatever the pitch is there as per the design, you try to measure the pitch by the particular instrument, base pitch, portable handheld base pitch measuring instrument. Why it is not known as portable? Because we can move it from one place to another. So that is the adjacent pitch error is actual pitch minus design pitch. Then we have the profile, the cumulative pitch error. So you have to know whenever we are taking the pitch error over a over number of tooth, not a single tooth, over a number of tooth, they are known as the cumulative pitch error, and is the actual length between corresponding flanks of tooth. So yesterday I already discussed the portion, what is flank, what is face. So that is the actual length between corresponding flanks of tooth, not adjacent to each other. You just try to see. These flanks are not adjacent to each other. So whenever we have the adjacent pitch error, we have to take the pitch adjacent tooth. So this is minus the design length. Whatever drawing we have in the particular gear, you try to take the design length of that one. So what is profile error? We'll just try to see all this. You'll know better when we go for the profile measurement, or else we'll try to again repeat this particular thing, because errors in gears actually is not there in the syllabus, but previously in other regulations he has asked in the short answers. So that's why we are taking, but without just discussing errors is of no value. Whether it is not there in the syllabus or not, it will be useful somewhere. So profile error. So what is a profile error? Whenever we want to see profile error, we just try to see the profile checking instrument we have later. There we have the optical projection method. By using the profile projector, we'll just try to magnify the profile of the gear we have manufactured on the screen. Just we'll try to see that later, or using the involute measuring machine, or we have the tooth to tooth displacement. So that is very important, or tooth displacement method. By setting three angular settings, we'll just try to have. So profile error means the maximum distance of any point on the tooth profile and normal to the design profile. Normal means it is perpendicular. So when the two coincide at the reference circle. So here, whenever the reference circle is there, if it is not specified, you try to take that as the pitch circle, So here in the gray terminology, you might have studied about pitch circle, and base circle is below the pitch circle, and we have the outside addendum circle at the top, and the root circle at the bottom. So that's what we have discussed. So root circle is the dedendum circle. So here the profile you can easily make out, and if it is not matching, if it is having too much error, you have to reject the gear. Though other parameters like pitch, runout, backlash, tooth thickness, lead, everything are correct. Though they are correct, if you just try to have the profile error, you can reject the gear. So that's how the quality conscious people are there. That's why we initially in an automobile industry where I worked before it is not exporting. After the development of gauges, after procuring of the computer and numerical control machines, they slowly started to export. Actually, a company, Sam Craig Pistons at Bantpalli, Medak district, used to have the Taiwanese collaboration, Taiwan. So just want to tell you. So the tooth-to-tooth composite error. Here also we'll just try to see there's an instrument like a Parkinson's gait tester where we'll try to discuss there how you just try to have the tooth-to-tooth composite error in that particular gear, in that particular instrument, where we can have the numerous parameters checked. Like we can check the runout there, we can check the composite error, we can check the tooth-to-tooth composite error, we can check the total composite error, all that in one parameter. So like that we can have, and the tooth-to-tooth composite error is the displacement at the pitch circle of a gear. So whenever you are rotating the gear, the distance or the displacement which is there at the pitch circle of a gear. So you just try to compare this, because in that particular instrument, if you just try to discuss the diagram, we'll try to compare our particular gear which is manufactured with that of a master gear, with that of a master gear. So we'll try to have that. It will be that particular gear which is manufactured will be meshing with the master gear with its fixed center. Then when it's moved through a distance corresponding to one pitch, so we'll have that driving and driven flanks in contact. So that we have two types of flanks. Actually, what is the gear? What is the pairing of gears? One is the driven gear and one is the driver gear. So as far as the driven gear is concerned, we have the driven flank. As far as the driving gear, we have the driving flank. So they will be in contact. So if any error is there, after moving through a particular distance, we'll try to see. We'll try to note down the error. If the error is more, already told you, just like profile, we'll try to reject them. So we have some particular diagrams we'll just try to discuss. The range of difference. So total composite error is for the value greater than the tooth-to-tooth composite error. So the range of difference between the displacement at the pitch of the circle, pitch circle of a gear, and here also same, but here you have to mesh the gear with a fixed center distance. So you have to set the gear in mesh with the master gear. How you try to calculate the value of the center distance? Previously I told you it is the average of the dp plus dg by 2, the diameter of the pinion and the diameter of the gear. That's what we are telling, the driven gear and the driving gear. So like that, we try to fix the center distance when moved through one revolution. So we'll have that particular driving and driven flanks in contact. So there's a lot of difference between, don't try to confuse yourself. If we ask in a viva voce, what is the difference between tooth-to-tooth composite error and total composite error? You can simply say the setting difference. So we have that you try to move the, as far as the tooth-to-tooth composite error, you try to move through a distance corresponding to one pitch, but when trying to refer to the total composite error, you set the gear with the center distance calculations, and you have to move through one revolution. Move through one revolution, and see that the particular pinion gear and the flank of the pinion gear and the flank of the gear, DP, DG, what I am telling, they will be in contact. They should be in contact. So if they're not in contact, that's not a correct measurement. So you have to take that. So we have this particular diagram. Total composite error is for the single flank. You just try to see how it is their variation, how the variation is. It is from here at the, you can say it is a peak, just like a peak of a screw thread, or a highest point, or the crest, you can say, and this is the root. This is the deepest valley, like a screw thread, or you can say the crest and root. The crest and root. Crest is the highest point, and root is the lowest point. So that is the total. You can see the distance or the height. So as far as the here, when you try to go for the tooth to tooth composite error, you just try to see. It's only the here you just try to see. It is almost less than the tooth to tooth composite error is less than the total composite error, the height of that one. So this is a typical single flank error chart. So you try to have this chart. Already I told you, if everything is computerized like the UTM, Universal Testing Machine, even if we try to connect our particular Parkinson K tester where we are measuring this particular errors, the total composite error and tooth to tooth composite error or runout or any other parameter like consistency. So we can say, we can record that particular measurements or the parameters on a chart, on a graphical recording. So we can record that, just like we can record the surface roughness also. We are trying to connect the particular the Taylor Hobson Talisov or the commercial instrument which is used in the industry, that is potentiometer, with a graph. Then we can plot it and we can record that particular plot for a particular sample of 20 pistons, like that. It depends upon the industrial engineering concept, like whether you are following the single sampling plan or the double sampling plan. You should have that industrial engineering subject. Okay, so there you can learn that. Then we have the composite errors for the double flank error chart. The 15.13A is for the single flank error chart, the first figure, and the second figure is for the double flank. So just try to see, just for the one revolution of the gear for the total composite error, and as far as the tooth to tooth composite error, it is for the one pitch. So you just try to see that radial runout also in the radial direction. So I will try to see that also. Runout, what is runout actually, you should know. So what is runout? Runout means the eccentricity in the pitch circle. If the pitch circle is not concentric, it is having some eccentricity. So what is the particular disadvantage of having eccentricity in the gear? So if you have the periodic variation in sound, so whenever we are using the gears in the running condition, we have the periodic variation in sound. So that means we are having the particular vibrations during each revolution. So, and that's also we can say a badly eccentric tool. Means what will be happening? It will cause a sudden change, a sudden failure of the gear, And here also, what you do, the runout you can measure by means of the like the Parkinson gear tester. We can have a gear eccentricity tester. So we can have that particular tester, and here just like we are mounting the job between the two centers in a lathe, we try to hold the gear on a mandrel. Mandrel is an accessory or a supporting device. We'll just try to see in the acceptance test or alignment test. we'll talk more about this mandrel. Mandrel is nothing but it is a cylindrical workpiece, or you can say a particular accessory, just like a straight edge of 25 diameter and some 50 length or 40 length we have, and we'll try to suppose it's a lathe machine. The tapered nose at the back of the mandrel is fixed into the particular headstock side of the lathe. Headstock. So at the back we have a tapered nose at the spindle. As far as mandrel is concerned, that will match with that particular headstock side, and then we can hold this particular gear, whatever we are talking, in the mandrel in between the centers. So what will be doing? So instead of using an ordinary dial gauge or a dial indicator, the tip of this particular dial indicator will be having the tip. The tip is nothing but it is a special tip, unlike the dial indicator, which will be just like the depending upon the module of the gear to be tested. Suppose you try to find out the module by calculations, or in the design, if it is there, you just try to take that module and try to design your tip of the dial indicator with a special tip, depending upon the module of the gear. Mostly its value, there's no units, it is between 2 to 2.10. The value will be there. We'll try to say the design of the gears. And what you do, the tip of the dial indicator will be inserted between the tooth spaces of the gear. After that, what you do, you try to rotate the gear tooth by tooth, from one tooth to another tooth. So, and just try to see the maximum variation in the dial indicator. So you try to note that reading. That is nothing but the runout. So it is depending upon the direction. Axial runout in the axial direction, radial runout in the radial direction, and at the side, it is a side runout or wobble. As I've seen in this book somewhere, he has not specified correctly. Radial runout he has taken wobble, but most of the practical in the gear manufacturing industries, or try to Google it, you try to see the wobble is a word for the side runout, not for the radial runout in the radial direction. So that is very important. And what you say, and then this particular reading is runout now. If you want eccentricity, the runout is twice the eccentricity. So like that, you can find out the runout. That is the first parameter. Already, because the radial runout is there, I just taken that. I've taken into consideration the first parameter runout. Then we have that tooth thickness error. So actually, we have two methods. Already I told you, one-year gate tooth caliper method, and the second one is the constant chord method. And we are having the instruments like one-year gate tooth caliper and the flange micrometer actually as given in the syllabus. Though you might have given, but it is a base tangent micrometer, which is having tooth wheels at the fixed anvil and the movable anvil, and you try to select a particular number of teeth. So there's a calculations there in the lab. We just try to see at that point. Actually, we are having shortage of the instruments or repair. That's why we are only using the one-year gate tooth caliper in the lab instead of the flange micrometer or the base tangent micrometer. So you select the number of teeth as far as the checking of the tooth thickness, because you cannot get tooth thickness directly. There's a procedure there in the lab we can discuss. So actually tooth thickness is measured along the surface of the reference cylinder minus the design tooth thickness. So design tooth thickness, we have a particular value. You can check it out there. So actually its value will be ranging from 3 to 3.5 for a spur gear. You can see in the lab. So cyclic error is there in error during each revolution of the element under consideration. Here the element is the gear element. So periodic error, it will be repeating itself at regular intervals of time. Just we will try to discuss more in the screw threads, where you can understand what is the difference between periodic error and non-periodic error, or what is the difference between periodic error and the drunken error. So just the error is erratic, you can say, erratic, not of a regular form. So this error is nothing but the periodic error. It will be repeating itself at regular intervals, but not necessarily corresponding to one revolution. It may not be one revolution. So that is the thing. And the runout already we have discussed as the explanation now, as far as the special dial indicator will be used, whose tip will be equal to the module of the gear, and the total range of the reading you get on this particular dial indicator. So with the contact point applied to a surface rotated. So that contact point, that particular contact point is a tip you insert between the tooth spaces of the gear, in between two teeth, you can say, and you have to rotate the gear tooth by tooth. So what is the maximum variation is the runout there. What is the maximum variation the dial gauge or the dial indicator will be the runout. And already I told you runout is twice the eccentricity. Twice the eccentricity. Suppose you try to know the eccentricity in the Parkinson gait tester. If anybody asks why you have not just taken the value of runout, you can say simply, if you can double the value of eccentricity is runout. That is the thing you can say wisely. So that's why we can check the runout not directly on the Parkinson gait tester. It depends upon the eccentricity value. It should not exceed a certain limit. If it is exceeding a certain limit, then you have to reject the gear. Because if you try to use the gear in the running condition, we have the gear noise. The gear noise will be there, which is not, it is just disturbing to the ear. Just like the bearing, which is of a fan, if it is worn out, we have the disturbance as far as the fan is concerned. You try to replace the bearings, just like that. So here we have the radial runout. It is a runout measured perpendicular to the axis of rotation. So actually runout is simply, you can say axial runout, but radial runout, you have to change the setting. So it will be measured perpendicular to the axis of rotation. And if you are measuring parallel to the axis of rotation, it is the axial runout. And side runout is sideways, just like different views of a particular component. So eccentricity is half the radial runout. Half the radial runout. That's what we have discussed. And actually here I told you, he has given wrong. Axial runout he has given wobble, but side runout is wobble. As seen in the other textbooks, like because R.K. Jain is an old author, I.C. Gupta and different, now the new authors are coming. So just don't worry about the other name. So just try to have. So runout, we have the parallel. So already I told you, we are the runout you are measuring parallel to the axis of rotation. It is axial runout. It is measured perpendicular to the axis of rotation. It is radial runout. So what do you mean by undulation? This is a word which is often used in the gears. So if you are the periodical departure of the actual tooth surface from the design surface, because you can see in this particular diagram the periodical departure. So we have a reference point, and that particular gear is moving from the actual design, actual surface or the reference surface to a new surface. A new surface, that is the particular undulation. It's known as undulation. So it is a particular movement or departure of the actual tooth surface from the design surface. Design surface, you can take it as a reference surface, where already we have seen in some of the in the surface texture or surface roughness, the mean profile, the actual profile, the reference profile, like that. Okay, the undulation height, okay, that is the distance between the crest and trough of the tooth, gate tooth. So the normal distance means it's the perpendicular distance between the two surfaces that contain that the highest point of the gear and the lowest point of the tooth, gate tooth. So that you can say. And what is the wavelength? Wavelength also the distance between two adjacent crests. So you take wavelength while you are taking the wavelength into consideration. Either you try to take two adjacent crests or two adjacent troughs, not one crest and one trough. That is the meaning of that wavelength. And tooth alignment error. Alignment is a very important part in the spur gear measurement, because in the analytical inspection of the gears, we are trying to take the gate tooth elements into consideration. Alignment also you have to check, because already in the automobile sir has told you, we are not checking the automobile, the balancing, wheel balancing or the alignment. You just try to again Google it, what is the difference between balancing and alignment, and just try to tell your sir, because some of the students also will try to have that particular doubt as far as alignment and balancing of wheels and alignment. Both should be checked in the garage, automobile garage. But here the alignment is nothing but the distance of any point on the tooth trace from the design tooth trace. So just like a reference profile, we have the design tooth trace. It will be passing through a selected reference point. So that alignment should not be varying much. Actually, you should not give a tolerance for the alignment. It should be zero tolerance, because a gear, if it is not properly checked as far as alignment, it will have its short period of life. So the presence of all these particular errors, so whatever errors we have discussed above, will cause the interference in the efficient operation of the gears. With such gears, the operation will not be smooth, and it will be non-smooth, or we have a noisy operation. There will be a noise which ultimately affects the service life of the gear or service life of the component. So that is how we can say gear measurement. Okay, we'll just try to start with the gear measurement. And actually, some of the topics are not there. We'll just try to skip where it is important. Already we have checked as the runout is concerned. We'll be slowly going to the another point, whether it is a pitch or tooth thickness. We'll just try to see. Tooth thickness, I'll start in a new class, because we have two derivations. You cannot complete. Already 20 minutes time has been over. So we have that Parkinson tester. You just try to see in this particular tester what is there. What is the Parkinson gate tester? So we just try to see this Parkinson gate tester. This is very important part as far as this syllabus is concerned, because with the use of Parkinson gate tester, we are able to measure runout or eccentricity. We are able to we are able to check the total composite error. We are able to check the alignment error. We are able to check the tooth-to-tooth composite error. So actually, whenever anybody is asking tooth-to-tooth composite error, will be for a single flank or for the double flank, already shown in the diagram. That is there. And already all the errors we have discussed now. So the alignment also of the gear with respect to the axis of mounting also should be checked. So how you check the alignment? You have to place a parallel bar between the gate tooth. So the gear will be mounted between the centers, just like already I told you. So it should not be hanged in middle layer. We have an accessory like mandrel. and we have to fix the gear between centers, and this particular gear you have manufactured should be enmeshed with a master gear that we can see here. The master gear is mounted on the spindle on the fixed carriage, and the gear you have to check, it should be tested on the mobile carriage. So that is the Parkinson gear tester, and with this test it will be, you will be knowing the errors in tooth form. Already we have told you the pitch, the error in the pitch, the constancy of the pitch line, whether the constancy of the pitch circle is correct or not, or whether it is eccentric. And when any two gears are in mesh with each other, then any one of the above errors, what are the errors? The tooth form error, the pitch and the constancy will cause a variation in the center distance. Variation in the center distance. How you measure the center distance? Actually, in this particular diagram is not good. In IC Gupta and other, yes, given beautifully, even Mahajan also, in KL Narayana, just try to see, we have a scale on the Parkinson gear tester. And through the scale, the calibrated scale, we can check the center distance easily. So, and if you want to calculate theoretically, the center distance is the average of the diameter of the pinion and the gear. So that is very important. And whenever this procedure will try to repeat. So where you try to have the master gear will be mounted on the spindle on the fixed carriage. We'll have two carriages on the Parkinson gear tester, and the other gear which is you have manufactured, you have to test it now. You have to test it on the mobile carriage. So this particular gear tester is used particularly for testing spur gears. But there are testers for other gears also. Here we are not discussing. And here the gears are mounted on the two spindles, so that they are free to rotate. And already I told you the master gear is mounted on the adjustable carriage, and you have to adjust the position. Why you are adjusting the position? As far as the master gear is concerned, you have to adjust so that you can have some space, or you can enable to have many gears of different diameters, because gear is not of a particular diameter, because gear blank diameter or other diameters, we have wide range of gear diameters have to be accommodated on this particular, for checking on this Parkinson gear tester. And you have to clamp that particular master gear in any desired position, in that particular desired position, suitable to that particular gear. Okay, so the gear under test, what you are doing, you are mounting on the mobile carriage. So this mobile carriage, here he has not specified elaborately that mobile carriage is nothing but it is a floating spring-loaded carriage. Floating spring-loaded carriage. So spring-loaded mechanism will be there as far as the mobile carriage is concerned. So what you are doing, the master gear and the gear under test, it will be meshed together by controlling the spring pressure on this floating carriage or the mobile carriage. So that's how you have to have the gear setting as far as this is concerned. And when the gears are in mesh, then the variations in the dial gauge readings you have to observe. If the variations fall outside the design limits, already I told you, you have to reject the gear. And the variations, it can also be recorded by means of the electrical pickup, in which the because the moment of the carriage will be there, it is nothing but the floating carriage, the spring-loaded floating carriage, that particular moment of the carriage, the movements will be converted into electrical impulse. Just like the stylus movements, the surface roughness are magnified. Here also, the movements of the carriage are first converted into that electrical signals or electrical impulse, and this is magnified further, and the trace will be like this. And just in this particular figure, the trace will be like this. So you have to at least record it on a graph paper, and the trace obtained, whatever the graphical trace obtained, will be a direct indication, will be having all the errors like eccentricity and tooth form errors. You just try to see. So already we have shown one of the diagrams before. This is the maximum composite error. So it is the touching the highest peak and the crest and the trough, crest and trough. So this is the deepest valley or the highest peak. If you just try to speak in terms of screw thread, but it's gear, the highest point of the gear and the lowest point of the gear. The lowest point is known as the root. The highest point already we have seen, addendum, duodenum. So all this. So here we have the maximum individual tooth error. Here also this particular radial height, and this is representing, this part is representing the angular rotation for tooth, and you have to rotate the gear for one revolution. You try to note down the reading, and you have to graphically plot. I already told you in metrology, you have to, don't satisfy with one particular reading. You have to take a set of 10 to 20 readings. So all this are there. So whenever, suppose in this particular Parkinson gate tester, already I told you, the two spindles which are there in the Parkinson gate tester, it's known as the particular fixed vertical spindle is one with respect to the master gear, and the gear has to be tested, which has been manufactured for the quality parameters like alignment or runout or tooth-to-tooth composite error or total composite error will be on another spindle. So these two spindles are there now. You have to adjust it so that the axial distance, you have to go for the setting just like the machine setting. So you have to adjust the two spindles so that the particular axial distance is equal to the designed gear center distance. So design value, that's why you have to calculate for the two gears, the pinion and the gear. One is pinion and one is the gear, dp plus dg by 2. So you have to adjust according to the center distance. Already I told you, for the particular instrument, we have a scale attached to the carriage, the mobile carriage, and we have a vernier to that also, so that you can measure the center distance, actual center distance, not the theoretical center distance. The practical center distance can be measured, but the variation, you should not be more than 25 microns. You have to know, because in practice, if you try to work in a gear manufacturing industry, you have to know all the fundamentals regarding the gear. What are the gear elements you have to check? The pitch, the base pitch, the runout, the profile. So all the 9 parameters: alignment, constancy, tooth-to-tooth composite error, total composite error. So my dear students, you try to have a look as far as the Parkinson gate tester is concerned. It's very important, and already, I don't know, in the beginning I have not seen, people are sleeping, are enjoying the summer by taking rest. I don't know. It's a very bad thing. Only 1/4 of the class is attending on Friday, 4th class, and just two, we have started already the introduction of the gear measurement, and it's not good for you. So just try to see. So here we can conduct a complex test by suitable modification, because for example, we can lock the movable carriage, that is running center distance of the gears, and we can, by fixing the master gear, we can determine the backlash also. Already I told you what is backlash definition, I told you, but elaborately we'll try to discuss. Backlash is also for a pair of gears, and you have to just lock one gear, and the other gear you try to move through one revolution, and this particular revolution can be determined by setting a dial gauge at the exactly at the pitch line of the gear you have manufactured. Because backlash is very important for checking for the smooth running of this gear, and if backlash is also varying, just like the consistency of the gear, there also you can have the noise, you can hear the noise. So this particular test you have to test along with the master gear, not the single gear, and you have to test it at a relative angular positions, just like for the profile measurement. So all these are very important, and 6 minutes more, I'll just try to go back where we can discuss. Don't want to just have this two thickness, because it will take time. So two thickness already we have discussed as far as the instruments are concerned. So we have the profile, we have the tooth spacing, pitch, runout or eccentricity or concentricity. So that the gate tooth thickness in the formula, it is W. W is equal to dP sine 90 by T. So that we have that formula. We just try to see that dP is the pitch circle diameter. Lead is already told you the axial distance moved by the gear through one revolution. Backlash, already we have given the definition. So all that parameters, today we have just known about runout and the other parameters using the Parkinson gear tester. This is very important. So hardness of the gear also you have to test. Apart, it's a quality check also, because whether the heat treatment you have carried out on the soft material, you have to check whether you have got the desired hardness, and you have to check the grain size also through the metallurgical microscope, because the method we are employing for measuring and testing of the gas will be depending on various parameters, because the such as precision of gas, the method of manufacturing of gas by machining using the indexing method on the milling machine, or the casting, or the forging. There are three methods of manufacturing, and you have to see all these are there, and you have to see that gear alignment is also very important, good alignment of each tooth. So if you are trying to machine the tooth of a gear poorly, it is quite there's a chance that the particular load may be carried by one edge only. So that blunt edge on the blunt tooth on the gear will be having more stresses. You can say more stresses, like these stresses are known as the bearing stresses. And you have to see that the tooth alignment also have to be checked by placing a standard roller in the tooth space. Rollers of different diameters, 25 or 20 or 22, whatever it is, the diametrical difference of 2 or 3 mm, whatever it is. It does not depend on the diameter, but you try to take standard roller diameter, and try to place the standard rollers in the tooth space, and check for the parallelism of the surface plate. Because the surface plate parallelism is not correct, it is like a reference point of the datum plane. Whatever measurements you are checking by using the surface plate, they'll be wrong. That's why you have to first check the parallelism of the surface plate or flatness of the surface plate by using a spirit level. It will be available in the metrology lab, and then you have to start your experimentation. So that is very important. We'll just try to check the particular teeth because you are applying a particular paste-like part, just like Prussian blue. Already I just discussed in the machine tools, how you test the particular machine tools for the alignments. We'll just try to repeat that in the 6th unit. So this is mounted on a testing machine, alignment testing machine, which is having a master gear. So any gear you have to just compare with the master gear, the gear to be tested, and you have to see that the contacts that are made on the mating gear, we can easily see, because if the contacts are good, whatever paste you are applying, the blue paste will be uniformly touching on the gear tooth. Now this is another way of testing the tooth alignment. The different ways, because the consistency also of the tooth already we have seen. It can be checked by using the Parkinson gear tester, or tooth consistency can be checked by mounting the gears between the bend centers, and you have to place the standard rule in the tooth space, and then use the dial indicator by rotating that dial indicator through a definite value, and the maximum variation you have to check. The maximum variation you have to check, and it is of larger variation. That means you are having eccentricity in the gear, and you have to just reject the gear, because if you are using eccentric gears, then there will be gear noise. So you have to use a profile projector also, because in profile checking method, we'll just try to elaborate that. The profile projection method, and you can use a gear testing fixture also, just like the floating carriage, the fixed carriage and the floating carriage as well as the Parkinson gear tester. Because here, what is the use of the spring? The spring will be exerting a constant pressure on the mating tooth, and the movement of the dial indicator will be giving the measurement of the eccentricity. That's why I told you the dial indicators which are used specially for the gear measurement, if it is a runout or consistency or eccentricity, whatever it is, its tip has to be specially designed according to the module of the gear. Already you have seen module. Don't ask me what is module now. What is module? Module is nothing but is the ratio of the pitch circle diameter by number of tooth. Or there is a formula, but it's a linear distance in mm that each tooth of the gear would occupy. So that is module. So you have to calculate the module and try to design the tip of the dial indicator like that. So all this are hardness, alignment, consistency. So all this gear measurement, the 9 parameters along with hardness has to be checked. Each and every parameter has to be checked, and if any parameter is varying, you have to reject the gear. So tomorrow we'll just go for gear tooth thickness measurement by the two methods, the constant chord method and the one-year gear tooth caliper method. The very important part of the syllabus as far as the examination and different sets is asking as for the GNTU. Just try to refer the old question papers for this one. Thank you for patient listening. And I warn you, I don't know how to correct you. We cannot drag you from the houses. You are living in different places. Or else we'll try to put a scheme just like inverting for the party to a political party. I don't know how to react. Okay, it's up to you. So we have to just take this particular thing Fridays and Saturdays, because we have only 4 classes and few number of people are attending for Friday last hour and Saturday first hour. It's no meaning. That means only are 50% efficient as far as listening to the class. Thank you. I'm not blaming the people who are just attending, but those people who are not attending. Okay, try to tell them. Okay, thank you for patient listening.